Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your speaker, trainer and coach from Live, Love, Give, and today I have a message coming to you which I am really excited about sharing with you guys because I've actually just had a really profound personal coaching session with my amazing coach who I am so grateful for. And it's so funny because, you know, I initially hired him as a business coach. And as we know, everything is totally interconnected. And so today, you know, usually we're focusing on some different things in my business, but to be honest, I'm at a place right now, which I've been at for like quite a while, like for, I don't know how long, but like I sort of kind of got that itch to go traveling because I felt like, there's a part of me that just needs to kind of unleash, and I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I knew that I needed to have my own time, space, energy, whatever you want to call it, in order to tap into that next realm. And I felt like things were becoming kind of a bit of a push and not really that pull and not really that inspiration. And so that's why I decided that I wanted to do some traveling. And since then, I'm actually taken off over to Rome this coming Tuesday. But between kind of that point in time and now, I'm kind of feeling like I'm in this kind of weird kind of maintenance sort of stage where I'm just looking after and nurturing what I've created so far. And I was like, you know, I kind of want to take a step back in terms of the business coaching right now, and maybe we'll revisit that, you know, back after I do this 12-day silent meditation retreat, which isn't until October. I'm doing a bunch of travel before then. But anyway, so in the meantime, some things in my personal life have changed. And so you know, he kind of encouraged me, let's do a session all around, like, let's make it a more personal session and let's dive into that work with you today. And so, you know, throughout our coaching, we do tend to do this. Like sometimes we're having these personal coaching sessions, other times it's more about the business. Today was one of those personal sort of days, and I'm really excited about just the perspective that I want to share with you guys, which I've been working on. And it's so strange because I feel like I have been building towards this for about a year and a half, kind of unbeknownst to me. And so it's kind of that I'm just piecing together all the bits of the puzzle. And it is why I wanted to deliver a message to you guys today, which might be highly controversial, and I kind of like that. So but it's definitely definitely the next evolutionary stage for me in my life and in my relationships. And you guys who've been following me for a while now, you'll probably have been, you know, you see me every single day, so you've probably been seeing this growth and this evolution within me and my perspective. But what I wanted to talk to you guys today about is loving each other enough to freely pursue all potential fantasies. I'm going to break this down because this is a funny one. And I'm going to use one of my most incredible mentors, Dr. John Demartini, and my actual personal coach he actually works for Dr. John Demartini. So a lot of the work that we do is based on the Demartini method and his perspectives on life and mindset and growth and human potential and all of that sort of stuff. But recently in my life, I have, you know, probably for like a year or over a year and a half, I've kind of been like, anti-relationship. Like, I just need this time to actually focus on being single, focus on myself, growing my business, my mission. And it's been so incredibly valuable for me. And just only, I think it'll be a month as of tomorrow, I actually had somebody come into my life who kind of opened the doors for me on this topic of relationship. And before I met this person, I kind of had it in my head, like I've been building up this ideal around relationship. And as you guys know, I started off as a relationship coach, and so relationships are kind of my topic, you know, they're kind of what really juice me, and I'm totally fascinated about learning. And I've done so and dived incredibly deep in this realm over the past 6 years. And so after I left my last relationship, and that was almost 5 years, and we, you know, had a really phenomenal relationship on a lot of levels, long story short, I decided to leave that relationship because it just got to a point where it felt like it wasn't healthy for either of us, and it had served its term and purpose. And when I went out of that and exited that relationship that had become highly codependent, I had to focus on regaining my independence and gaining a new perspective on what relationship looks like and what love is. And to me at that point, as you guys have been following me for a while, have heard me say a billion times, I decided that love equals freedom. And if there was no freedom, then it wasn't actually love. If it felt controlling, if it felt restrictive in any way, it was not love, and it was actually just attachment and ego-driven connection. And so at that point in my life, making those realizations, I kind of was like getting this clarity of vision as to what my ideal would be, but never ever experiencing it in my life. So kind of getting to a point where it was like, okay, I'm not willing to settle for anything less than this vision that I'm creating and this way of being that I'm articulating, yet I haven't actually had the experience of it being a reality, so I don't even know if it's possible, but I chose to believe in the potentiality of something truly extraordinary and something, that I wasn't willing to just settle for something less than what that was. And I'd gotten to a point in my life where I actually honestly would be happy enough to be completely single for the rest of my life, rather than settle for something that was anything less than what I was envisioning and what I was truly desiring to experience, even though I had no idea I could experience it. So on that journey, it's kind of made me focus on myself, focus on this idea around relationship, become quite idealistic in this realm. At some times, like, kind of question myself, am I being too idealistic in this realm? Like, am I ever going to get to experience what I'm envisioning? But I chose to, just not worry, not get into a mindset of scarcity around relationship, and trust in the potentiality of something extraordinary to come my way whenever the time is right, and to focus on the stuff that is really meaningful and what really matters to me in my life. And so that's what I have done, and I've had many different people and experiences that have been absolutely meant to be coming into my life and happening and teaching me so many valuable lessons. And literally 4 weeks ago tomorrow, I was up in Sydney, and I went to an event, and on the very first day of that event, I actually connected with somebody who, I didn't know at the time would end up the way that it has, but, we just really connected. And that's been an interesting journey over this last month for me, and opening up to that. And of course, when we go through and we meet new people and we go through different things, we get triggered with different fears, and we kind of are like always spiraling up. Like, if you're into your growth, you're always kind of going here, and then you kind of like, it's not like a straight line up in your growth. You're like kind of spiraling up, and you don't know where you're going, but you're kind of inching your way up. And anyway, I kind of met this person who had this same perspective as me, and I'd never met anybody like that, and very emotionally intelligent, very kind of, I don't know, it was just kind of uncanny, like how we'd been dreaming up and envisioning the exact same thing. And anyway, it was crazy, and I'm not going to go deep diving into that whole experience with you guys right now. But ultimately, what I had, started to go down the track of over this last month is like a potential relationship there. And what I ended up, like, my coach said to me, guaranteed there'd be some fantasies that need to kind of be debunked with this connection. And if you're familiar with Dr. John Demartini's work, then you'll know that he's all about getting out of the fantasies where we see only the positive and all the good, and out of resentment where we're seeing only the bad, and actually getting into equilibrium, and that's where love is. And if you're not in equilibrium, if you're in fantasy mode, then you attract things to bring you back down. You attract like negative things to come into your life in order to bring you back into balance. And the same thing happens if you're in that resentment. You tend to attract things that kind of shift your perspective so that you can come back into balance and see the good as well. So this whole love versus freedom thing for me is massive, and I've done so much work on this over the last year and a half, and I came to a whole new perspective and realization today that I'd been starting to go down the same old path that I already know where that is taking me. And this is where it might get a little controversial for you guys. So I want you to stay open-minded and come with me on this journey of perspective. But so in the past, I have to give you a bit of a background. So in the past, in my past relationships, I've been somebody who's been very black and white about where we disperse our energy in terms of, in terms of really probably more so like our sexual energy, because it's going to be like, if I'm going to be in a relationship with a man, I don't want my energy being dispersed into these other directions to people who might be interested in a relationship with me, or I've had a relationship with, or whatever that is. So I've always cut those ties prior to a relationship so that, like that's not going to get in the way of something in my future. And I've been really, really clear and black and white on that. But what I've been learning is that that can be ultimately highly restrictive. And the last thing in my mind that I would ever want in relationship, like, is for not only my own freedom to disappear, but absolutely for my partner's freedom to be diminished in any particular way. And I've never quite known how to navigate this. Like, how do we navigate the connections that we decide we need to cut off from so that we can direct our energy here, versus feeling restricted and feeling like, I have to cut something away. I have to cut off any potentiality or possibility over here in order to make this kind of work, right? And so I'm taking a long time to get to the point, I guess, but I feel like I have to give you so much of a perspective and so much of the backstory to kind of introduce this topic in a way. But really what I got to the point of today was that we have to love each other enough to freely pursue all potential fantasies. And I want to explain what that is. So say you come into a relationship and you had this, attraction or this connection with somebody else. And because you're, entering a relationship over here, you think, I better cut that off. The other person is like, I don't like that. That makes me feel jealous or uncomfortable. I want you to cut that off. And if we do that, and it's not really coming from this place of truth, we're really just feeling like, we better do that for the relationship. How it can cost you and your relationship is ultimately you might create a fantasy about what that potential reality could have been. And when you've got that fantasy that you lost, you cut off that connection and you never know what could have been with that fantasy, you can end up bringing resentment into your relationship and resenting your partner for not having the freedom to pursue everything freely in terms of whatever you want to. And what also happens is your partner now has to compete with a fantasy of what could have been. And nobody can compete with a fantasy. So the way Demartini talks into this, and he has actually written about it in a number of his books, and I've heard him talk about it at his live events, that he actually encourages he speaks about a past relationship of his where he encouraged his partner to pursue a connection, so I'll give you a bit of a background story. So his partner went on this cruise, had this great time. They ported at some place in Italy, and this guy from the cruise got off, and she was in this like amazing shoe shop or something, and he came in, and I don't know, he came up to her and he kind of like wooed her a little bit and just like said how beautiful she was, and he was absolutely gorgeous apparently. And you know, he asked her, you know, I'd love to take you out for dinner and blah 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 blah. And you know, so she was like, oh, she was so, you know, what's the word I'm looking for, she was so touched by that connection. Like, it made her feel really amazing. This you know, amazing guy connected with her and filled her up and gave her so much attention and love and whatever. And you know, if she was single, it would have been really exciting, but you know, she was in a relationship with Dr. John Demartini, and so she said, you know, that's very flattering, but you know, I'm actually in a relationship, but thank you so much anyway. And you know, that night she, you know, spoke to John Demartini, and she said, oh my gosh, this like gorgeous man like asked me to dinner and blah, 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 blah. And Demartini actually said to her, well, why didn't you go? Like, go with him. Like, I actually want you to go and have an evening with him. Like, go and pursue that. And she was like, okay, like, all right, are you sure about this? Like, you'd want me to do that? And he said, absolutely. And the reason why he had that mindset was because he was very smart and intentional in terms of knowing full well that if she didn't go and pursue that potential fantasy, he was going to have to compete with this gorgeous man in her fantasies that, you know, all she knew was this good side of him, and he came in and she'll never know what could have been and blah, blah, blah. And instead, him encouraging her and giving her that freedom to pursue that potentiality allowed her to have more perspective about where that could have gone and what that could have been. And in actual fact, brought her closer to him, because there is no greater gift that you could give anybody in this world than the full freedom to enhance their lives in any way they deem to be an enhancement. And by doing so, I don't know about you, but like, I don't know if you've had this experience in your relationships, but if you can picture this, where your partner was so secure in who they are and so secure in the connection that you were establishing and creating, that they were freely comfortable with you pursuing any sort of potential fantasy in your mind, so that it doesn't become a resentment or a fantasy that you can't compete with because it's mind made and you're a human being and they're spending time with you seeing both sides. Then, you know, all that's going to do in your relationship is make you want to be closer to that person. It's going to make you feel so lucky and grateful to have a partner who absolutely believes in the connection and themselves and everything that you're creating so much that they couldn't be threatened by anything that could potentially enhance your life. And in fact, they love you enough for you to pursue any so-called fantasy that that you could come up with or experience, so that you can develop and grow together. Because on the flip side of this, if your partner wants to pursue something in some other direction, you can actually learn about how, like, maybe there's something that you could be growing a little bit more in this realm. And I know this is like a really kind of difficult conversation to have, right? Because it feeds into our deepest fear of not being good enough and therefore not lovable, right? So to open your partner's opportunities up and give them that freedom to pursue whatever they feel called to pursue is really shaky and scary ground for the person who is insecure and buying into their deepest fears of not being good enough. But at the end of the day, do you want a relationship that is established through fear and insecurity and restriction and limitation? Or do you want a relationship that is fully chosen every single day to go the depths of love and connection and have full freedom to move in any which way you so choose, but you choose to be here and direct your energy because you can and because you absolutely and wholly want to? You know, this is kind of what I'm sort of in my own personal life, it feels like for me, this is the evolution of relationship in my life. And, you know, it's kind of like the integration or, the evolution or the convergence, I guess, of monogamy and open relationship. You know, for me personally, just putting it out there, like I am definitely a monogamous person, like that's important to me. If I'm in relationship with somebody, that's the person that I direct my sexual energy toward. But on this flip side, like I like the idea of the mindset behind open relationship, which is that word compersion. And compersion is the ability to derive happiness from seeing your partner be happy. And the last thing I ever want to do for a partner, and the last thing I ever want to feel in my own life, is a sense of diminishment of my freedom or of theirs. I want us both to feel like we have absolutely complete freedom, trust, and love for one another so much that we want them to live their absolute best, most fulfilling life, and to pursue anything that is going to enhance it to the highest capacity, and trust and believe in ourselves and our own connection enough to not put a limitation, a fearful driven, insecure driven limitation on the other person pursuing whatever realm that is for them. And I feel really excited about this evolution for me. It's only like early days and navigating this, but there's so much growth to be had in this realm. And I also like that, I like seeing and reflecting on my own personal growth and where I'm going in terms of relationship, and seeing that, I've met somebody in my life who has come at a time when I'm just about to take off overseas, and I'm not going to be back until December. I'm going to travel for 3 months and not see that person, and to me that proves a new evolution for me that is not restricted to physical connection, but actually transcending that and actually having more than just a physical connection, but actually having a spiritual connection, a mental connection, emotional connection, navigating all areas of intelligence and connection in that realm, that and really valuing each other enough and loving each other enough to encourage each other to have our individuality and to go and do whatever we need to do in the world in order to be our most whole selves, so that we can come back and be our highest selves and enhance each other's lives through our connection, not be needy and needing that connection to fulfill a void that only we can truly fulfill from within. So all right, I really want to dive into and see if you guys have any questions or comments or any perspectives that you would love to share on this topic. I hope that me talking into this is of value to you guys. I hope that it's resonating. It might be a little controversial to a bunch of you guys, but I think that life is an evolution, and love is, such an incredible pathway to enhance and grow our perspective, our life, our highest potential. And so I think it's really the most challenging area in our lives to navigate. And therefore our biggest vehicle for growth is in this kind of like love, intimacy. And so that's why it's like, it really inspires me to talk into. So I'm hoping that everything that I'm sharing with you guys is of value, and I want to make sure that you guys are definitely in the masterclasses and you are getting maximum value from those deep dive trainings that I deliver to you guys every single month. I can't wait for our next one, and all our next ones all the way through till December. I don't know where in the world I'm going to be. Our next one, I'm definitely going to be in Italy. And then the next one in France. So I'm super excited that I'm going to be traveling around the world with these masterclasses with you guys, and I hope that all of you are a part of it. So let me have a look. I've got Bapooni and Philippe and Gary's here and Lucy and Gregory and Natalie and Huss is in the house. I don't know why I always say Huss is in the house, but I love it. And Judy's here and Edgar. Hi Vanessa, sending you love from Chihuahua, Mexico. I always love having you, Edgar. Thanks for being here. And Gabrielle's here, beautiful, and Julie and Chris and Tanya, yay. And Gabrielle, thank you for always sharing your growth, so inspiring. You're so welcome, beautiful. I'm really grateful that you find value in me sharing all of this so openly. That's why I do it, so thank you. And Shalendra and Sashan and Eduardo and Gamal, true love is really needed to manage our emerging challenges and to build up enough energy to survive life. I'm still searching to find it, and I believe that it is hard to find. Pray for me. Gamal, so much love for you. And, you know, I think the moment that we realize that love is not separate from us and it's not being withheld from us in any other individual, and in actual fact, you know, when we transition into higher levels of consciousness through our own personal development, the biggest realization that I feel we make is our connectedness to something much larger than just ourselves. And when we can get into that kind of abundant mindset, that is when, you know, love in the way that we're so searching for in that separation mode actually enters our life. So I love that you know the value of true love and depth and connection, Gamal. What I would say to you is that it absolutely resides within you. And as you go on your personal development journey, I'm absolutely sure that you are going to really tap into that. And the moment that you do, an incredible soul is definitely going to enter your life and show you that convergence of true love between two individuals. But when we live in this separation and this scarcity mindset where we feel like we're searching to find it and it's separate from us and that one person is going to deliver it to us, we end up actually blocking ourselves from receiving that. So I just want to encourage you, Gamal, and I'm sure if you've been following some of my videos recently, then you would have absolutely heard me mention my favorite guy in the world right now, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I would really encourage you to pick up one of his books, in particular, probably Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I would encourage you to pick up with what you're sharing with me right now, and diving into his meditative processes allow us to tap into that love. You know, you're searching for that love, but it's within you. It's an elevated emotion that connects us to everybody. And you don't need to find it and search for it in another human being before experiencing it. And so his meditations really give you an opportunity to tap into that right here, right now, which changes your vibrational frequency, which raises your standards, which gets you out of a scarcity mindset and into one of abundance. And that is where you open yourself up to actually attracting somebody who is extraordinary for you into your life. So Gamal, I would really encourage you to check out Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, get into his meditations, particularly after reading his books. You know, I've done all three of his amazing books a few times now, and really diving deep into his meditations, and I just really, really encourage you to get the value from that work. Hope that's helpful. And Danelle, love is a verb, not a noun. It requires action. Absolutely, Danelle. So true. And it's also a choice. You know, it's an action, but it's also a choice. And that's why I am so adamant that freedom and love are synonymous, you know, and that is why the more freedom that you can give to somebody, the more you're stepping into that love, and it's not attachment and control, you know, and the more freedom we have, the more choice we have, and therefore the more meaningful the action of love becomes, because we're not obligated and we're not restricted. We're coming from a true place of freedom, and that is where we go the depths of what we can actually experience in love. So I love that, Danelle. And Gabrielle, your relationship with yourself is the most important. You said it, girlfriend. Absolutely. You know, if you don't have an extraordinary quality of relationship with you, you're always going to be seeking something in somebody else. And when you come at it from this needy perspective, you're blocking love. It becomes that control. It becomes, hey, you prove to me that I'm lovable, rather than me do the work on me so that I know that I'm lovable, and then I can give freedom and we can co-create something way more extraordinary together than we could ever do with ourselves. So I love that, Gabrielle. And Mark's here, and Kylie and Walter. Hello to you. I'm doing really well and hope you are as well. And James is here, and Jay. And James, hello, gorgeous. You doing an amazing job. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, James. I so appreciate your encouragement, my friend, and I'm having a brilliant day, and I hope you are as well. And Esther's here, and Irvin, and Mahmoud, and Edgar. I love your quote. I knew I had to do the work on me before I was ready to receive you. Oh, I love that you love that. Because it includes a lot of self-compromise and the true meaning of love and manifesting it in all the aspects of your life. Freedom comes naturally with acceptance, gratitude, and sharing. Edgar, that is so, so beautifully put, and I love that that quote resonated with you, because it absolutely came from the bottom of my heart, and absolutely such wise words, my friend. I love that you're on this journey. And Simon from Mexico, or ever is nice to see you and listen to you. I love that, Simon. Always grateful to have you join. Thanks so much for being here. And Mahmoud, I'm sorry, I cannot read Arabic. I think that's what you're speaking there. I cannot pick up what you're putting down. But I love having you here and hope you're finding value in the message. And Dominic, if you're my girlfriend, I would love you a long time. Thank you, Dominic. Well, I'm loving you long time for joining and being so kind with your words. And I hope today's message is resonating with you. And Abhishek and Pervez is here. And Richard and... Richard, I'm not ready for love as in a relationship. You know, yeah, like I feel like our perspective on what love is, you know, so many of us are saying, you know, not ready for love. But like, to me, love is who we really are, you know. So we're always ready for love. But yeah, I totally get what you mean in terms of not being ready for a relationship. That's been me for the last really year and a half. I've known that within me innately, that I needed to get myself to a point in my life where I didn't need a relationship in order to feel good about myself, that I was filling myself up until I could know that I wasn't going to lose myself in a connection with another human being. And in fact, we were going to come together and create something extraordinary where we still have our independence and our freedom, but we also have this convergence of something, you know, truly magnificent that we couldn't create without one another. And that is the beauty of getting yourself to the point of readiness for relationship. So I love that, Richard. And Ankit's here, and Hannah. Awesome to see you. Can't wait to see you tonight. Beautiful. And Kadri, did I say your name right? Oh my gosh. And I love having you here. And Danelle, would you say you can successfully combine the open relationship concept with marriage? Great question. And so Danelle, I think that it's very subjective, meaning that you've got to choose what feels right to you as an individual and what feels right to your partner, and find somebody who you're in alignment with that. Personally, where my evolution is at this point, the way that I bring open relationship, the concept of open relationship to my relationships, is the mindset behind it. So the mindset behind the open relationship being that I never want to restrict my partner from fully experiencing whatever they want to experience in their life, and you know, cut it, and I never want to cut them off from the opportunities that could potentially lead to something that enhances their lives. I never want to be a restriction or an impediment on freedom to my partner, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we are not monogamous, you know. So You've got to find somebody who shares the same perspective as you. If one of you wants to be monogamous and the other person doesn't, there's a misalignment there that's very important, because one of you is going to have to sell out on your truth in that connection. So you want to find somebody who has that same perspective as you. And for me personally, that perspective is a monogamous relationship that encompasses the mindset of open relationship in terms of being happy for my partner to be happy and not restrict them based on my own insecurities or fears or theirs on me. So I hope that that makes sense to you, Danelle, and I so appreciate you being here and for your question. And Eula is here, and Yabase, and Edgar, love your message, Vanessa. You're so true about all. I love hearing that, Edgar. Love that this resonated with you, and always appreciate you being here. And Kadri, love having you here. And Ning and Manoj, love your thoughts. I'm so grateful to hear that, my friend. And Huss is in the house. I love it. This is a unique perspective, and it makes a lot of sense. It would take a tremendous amount of trust, not only in them, but in yourself. But I do understand the thought process. Thank you, V. I love that. Love hearing that, Huss. And, you know, a big piece that I've discovered over my personal development journey is the whole trust piece, all right? So trust, at the end of the day, comes down to you trusting within yourself. If you seem to have trust issues with other people, it really comes from your relationship with yourself, because you're never going to be able to know fully about what another person is going to do, right? You can't control them. You might be able to influence others, but you can't control them. So trust comes down to you trusting in your ability to handle whatever happens. And when we don't trust in our ability to handle what other people do, we can't give other people our trust. So I think that, you know, the whole trust thing and getting to this high level of evolution in our relationships, which takes a hell of a lot of growth and consciousness, we don't just start there, right? It's a progression, and we have to go through experiences of pain and hurt and torment and whatever that is in order to grow to a level where we can reach this kind of standard of relationship. So yeah, it's kind of like a combination of also being able to discern through experience who is that kind of person who you can trust and who shares that perspective, and you can really go the heights there with them, and who's not, you know. And unfortunately, there's probably not really a good way of fast tracking that success other than having to go through those challenges, those painful moments, and whatever needs to occur in order for you to learn the lessons in order to reach that height. And most of us aren't willing to do that. We want to play it safe. We want to stay in our certainty and our comfort. And that is what limits us in our potential, in not only in love, but in life. So I love that you're open to it, Huss, and thank you so much for being here. And Sanford, hello to you. And Kadri, Joe is amazing. I've done his meditation since the last monthly masterclass, and wow, what a difference. Thank you so much for bringing this topic out. Kadri, I love hearing that. It melts my heart when you guys, follow through and dive into, the recommendations that I make for you guys, because trust me, I wouldn't ever recommend anything that I wasn't personally getting immense value from and knew that you could as well. So when you guys take action on that stuff, I'm so excited, and I can't wait to catch up with you in group coaching and hear a little bit more about your experience with those meditative processes from Dr. Joe Dispenza. That is so cool, Kadri. And thanks so much for sharing. And Danelle, totally agree with it's a choice. Never thought of love being freedom. Something I think definitely need to incorporate that into my thinking. Danelle, I love hearing that. That was a huge breakthrough for me, that love equals freedom, and anything else is not love. It's control, it's attachment, it's coming from fear and insecurity rather than love and connection and loving yourself and somebody else so much that you want whatever is best for them, no matter if it's you giving that to them or them getting that from somewhere else. Why restrict another person based on your deepest fears of not feeling like you're going to be good enough? That only leads to codependent relationships where we feel defeated because we can't give everything to everybody, We want to encourage our partner to have their needs met in different ways, but you need to come up with what that strategy is and what feels good to both of you in your relationship. So I love hearing that this has expanded your perspective a little, Danelle, and I'd love to hear about how you go on that journey. And Luigi is here, and Giannis, good morning from Greece. Oh, Gianni, that's so cool to have you here. I can't wait to I'm definitely going to Greece. I don't know when, but I'm thinking that I'm probably going to end my 3 months in Europe in beautiful Greece, because it'll be warmer down there toward November. So I love having you here. And David's here, and Kelly, and Andrew, and Dariush. Hello to you, my friend, and Edgar. Love is our natural state, our birthright. And when you're on an inner place where is love, that's what you would attract. What you would be experience, and that's what you interact with on the world. Absolutely, Edgar. So completely and utterly agree that love is our natural state. It's not that, we're not ready for love, because love is who we really are. We need to remove the walls and the blocks toward love, because that's our authenticity, that's our truth, that's our freedom. And yeah, so I completely resonate with exactly what you're saying there, Edgar. Thanks so much for sharing your wise words. And Sam's here, and Abhishek, and Manoj, love from India. Awesome. I love having you here. So cool. So I am really hoping that today's message has definitely resonated and served you guys and given you a new perspective, and expanded your mind around love and the whole perspective around freedom. It's definitely an evolutionary path that I'm currently on, and I cannot wait to share more of that journey with you guys. And hopefully it adds value to you and definitely expands your perspective, because that's freedom, expanding your perspective and having higher levels of consciousness and choice to design your life rather than live it by default, obligation, all that sort of stuff that's limiting and restrictive, and only serves to lead you in the direction of a regret-filled life instead of one free from regrets. All right. As always, guys, I'm sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I really hope it's a beautiful, amazing, and extraordinary day. I hope today's message has definitely empowered you. And as always, I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow. Much love.